What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome back. It's the start, baby. It's the start of NFL draft season. Welcome in if you're returning. I hope you guys enjoyed your little off-season break that we had. If you're new, welcome into MVP Sports. And yeah, you know what? It's nice to be back. This video, I will say, I'm going to say it right now, a little bit long in the tooth in the front. Usually the first ones are. I got some stuff to get through. We're going to set everything up. I just put into the MVP Discord, join it down below, that we're back. The start of draft season is here. JD and I have already done our first big board. The draft room starts up later this week. As you're seeing this on YouTube, the first episode of the draft room for this year is already on Patreon. It's good to be back. It's good to officially be back talking NFL draft, watching the sport, one of the sports that I love in football. And before I get into everything, welcome into our NFL draft again, our first of many that we are going to have. Before I get into the mock draft, just want to say a little bit of housekeeping here at the front. Number one, if you're not in the greatest community in the universe, I mentioned the MVP Discord where we put announcements in and kind of it's our front way to get announcements to you guys and also build the greatest community where we talk about sports each and every day. You can join that for free down below in the description. If you would like to become a patron, you can do that too down below by supporting us at either the basic or the plus membership. Plus members get some of our content early, draft rooms, podcasts, any videos like this, you get 4 days early before everyone else. Patrons get to see this. You're actually watching this Tuesday. If you're a patron, you're waiting until Friday for this one if you were a just non-patron. So if you want to support us, you can check that down in the link below. Thank you to all of our patrons. Also, we have the MVP website up and running, mostvaluablepodcasts.com, where we're starting to roll it out a little bit. We're going to have player profiles this year. Our big board is up there, top 25, mock drafts, all the podcasts. That's kind of the one spot. We also have a calendar so you can see when things will be posted. If you're ever wondering, hey, when's this going to come out? When can I expect the next mock draft? All of that is at mostvaluablepodcasts.com. And then kind of last but not least, yeah, if you haven't checked out the draft room, check it out later this week. We're going to have that dropping as well in JD's big board. We did that. We talked about all the prospects before the season. That playlist will be in the description as well. Also sub, like buttons, all that good stuff. But yeah, we're back. This is the first mock draft, the first of many from me. So if you're new to MVP, how we do it is NFL team, we're kind of split up into two. We got JD and myself, and JD is the one that comes up with all the big boards. He's the one that puts all the prospects and the ranking of how they're playing, how they should look, who's BPA. I'm the mock draft guy here at MVP. I'm the one doing mock drafts. I'm going to be the one taking you through this journey from now all the way until we get to our last mock draft before the 2024 NFL mock draft. And this one's kind of a special one. And I say that because it's almost like it's the most, I kind of want to say most pure of an NFL mock draft because we don't have any weeds, no trades. Really, we don't have any idea of how these teams have performed yet. I know as you're seeing this live, you're like, well, Ricky, we just saw the Lions and the Chiefs battle it out to open the season. I'm going to make a prediction. Chiefs probably won that game, and maybe by a lot. Sorry, Lions fans. But we don't know how everyone's going to play. We don't know injuries yet. We don't know teams and what they're going to do during free agency. So this is kind of the one, hey, let's throw everything at the wall. Let's kind of just get one out there, see what sticks. And then as we see the orders shift and solidify, we see players in college drop out, stay in the draft, guys that rise up boards, wide receivers. Already after week one, I've completely redone my wide receiver rankings after week one because, let's be honest, some of them really impressed me. But people are going to change. Names that we are not on our boards now are going to be on our boards later. this is kind of the one, hey, it's the starting ground. Let's just have a foundation of where to start so we can go at from the future. So like I said, no trades in this one. Also, if there's not a name on here that you're like, Ricky, how is he not on there? Let me know what you guys think down below. And when I get to your favorite team, let me know, like you guys always do, what you think about your team's pick down in the comment section. But without further ado, let's kind of get into this bad boy. And before I start with the Cardinals, who are at number 1, my last disclaimer is the order. So what I originally wanted to do was have kind of my own order. I have on the side, the NFL Predictor website, I've gone through everything and hey, this is who's going to win this game, kind of figured out what my draft order would be. It's very different than the one you were seeing because here I use NFL mock draft database for kind of the simulator so that I could have this up. I can't do a custom order with theirs. So since I'm using theirs for this video, we're using their order. That's just the one we're going to do. So if you have a problem with the order, take it up with NFL mock draft database, not myself. I had my own order in place that had some of these teams a little bit lower than where they were, but let's officially start. So number 1, we have the most interesting situation this year, the Arizona Cardinals. Because of their trade last year with the Houston Texans that allowed the Houston Texans to not only get their quarterback, but to get their pass rusher as well in the draft, we now have the Cardinals with 2 picks. Are they going to end up with number 1 and number 2? Well, I think they're going to end up with number 1 because they are going to be the tank commanders this year and try to get that number 1 pick. And that's because who is sitting there is Caleb Williams. So the first 2 picks here for the Cardinals, very easy for me. First off, you're taking Caleb Williams at number 1 because he is the best prospect in this draft. Some might say Marvin Harrison's up there, but quarterback and edge rusher will always take precedence over a wide receiver in a draft in my mind when it comes to BPA at number 1. So quarterback is there. We're taking Caleb Williams. And then if I'm the Cardinals, this is your win-win situation. You were the worst. The Texans were the second worst, or the Texans were the worst, and you were the second worst. You get both Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. Locking up those 2 players, boom, boom, 1-2. Gives you your quarterback of the future, but then also gives you your wide receiver of the future. We're going to be talking about it all year. This will be the perfect scenario for the Cardinals in a mock draft if they could get 1, 2, or I'll even say this, if they can get 1 and 3, because I think depending on who lands up 2, there's a chance that Marvin Harrison doesn't go 2, that like we see one of the edge rushers, whether it's Turner or Verse, or we see a Ola Fashanu from Penn State be the second overall pick. Right now, we're still in that murky water. Teams need to play games. Players need to play games. But yeah, perfect situation would be for the Arizona Cardinals to get both Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round with their 2 firsts. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for them, it's a little interesting because the BPA for me, my ranking's a little bit different than what you see up here from the mock draft database. Is I personally don't have Drake May as my 3rd overall prospect. I mean, Drake May and the Tar Heels played well against South Carolina. I'm not saying Drake May is a bad prospect. I just want to see him through a full season before I go ahead and make him the 3rd overall prospect. I would say right now for me, it's either Fashanu or Verse there at 3. I mean, edge rusher, a little bit more valuable than offensive tackle, but really, if you have your quarterback and you have your edge rusher, you need to protect that quarterback by all means. The Bucs are a team that definitely could use Fashanu, and it would be a great pick here. My only problem is they need a quarterback, and I say that because at this point in time, I love Kyle Trask. I loved him at Florida. He ain't the guy right now. You're just not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. And also, Baker Mayfield, how's that experiment going to play out? Is he going to play himself into a contract? Are the Bucs just using this as a 1-year experiment? I'm not high on either of these two quarterbacks, Mayfield or Kyle Trask, to be the long-term option for the Buccaneers after this season. So although offensive tackle might be the number one need, I'm going over here to quarterback. I'm actually going to someone who I think is criminally underrated when it comes to quarterbacks. He's number 5 in Mel Kiper's rankings. You see him here. He's outside the top 30, which is absurd. I'm going with my second quarterback overall. He is going to be, by the way, the Will Levis of this draft for me. He is the guy I'm hitching my wagon to. He's my most favorited prospect this draft, and I'm going to ride him so much this year. It's Michael Penix Jr. I absolutely love Michael Penix. He's one of my favorite prospects in this draft. You're going to hear me talk ad nauseum about him all season long until we get to the draft. I just love Michael Penix, and I think second quarterback off the board, no matter who that is, that's who the Bucs are going to go with their pick. So number 3 overall, Michael Penix off the board, 2 QBs already taken. Then we get to the Rams, and they're kind of a team that is sitting there, and it's like, okay, I had in my notes here, you're either going edge rusher or you're going offensive tackle, and that's really where I have BPA. It's either Jared Verse or it's, Ola Fashanu. However, I then looked at the Rams and said, well, what kind of an edge rusher do they need? Do they need a lineman or do they need a linebacker? And that's one of the things that I think is going to play in the rankings of Jared Verse and Dallas Turner. Is both of them are going to be very good this year, but I think in mock draft world, it's going to come down to, okay, you need an edge rusher. Do you want that edge rusher to be an outside linebacker, or do you want him to be a defensive end? If it's a defensive end, Jared Verse is your guy. However, the Rams, looking at the depth chart where they have contracts, I think they need someone more in that outside linebacker position. So for me, okay, it's either Turner or Fashanu. Either pick would be a great pick. I'm going edge rusher, though, because like I said, and I've said this ad nauseum over the years, there are 2 positions that are the most important positions in football: quarterback, edge rusher. Yes, I know that you're probably sitting here going, Ricky, we don't know what's going to go on with Matthew Stafford this year. Is Stenson Bennett the guy? We don't know. I don't know. This could change. The Rams could be in quarterback mode. Drake May could be the quarterback of the Rams. Michael Penix could be the quarterback of the Rams. Bo Nix could be the quarterback of the Rams. They could be going quarterback here. But for right now, I don't have quarterback that big of a need for them. Edge rusher is. If quarterback or edge rusher is your number 1 or even number 2 need, go with that first. They are the 2 most important positions in football. So I got Dallas Turner from the Alabama Crimson Tide going to the Rams at number 4. Then we have the Colts, and this is an interesting one because Brocky Bowers, a guy that I really love, I think could be a great pick here. Like, you have 3 great picks here for the Colts. Brock Bowers, who doesn't really fit in need, but is a great talent, could give you a weapon for AR to throw to. Jared Verse, where he would be the top edge rusher on the board, and having edge rushing help is very needed, especially when you're any team in the NFL. And then there's probably the number 1 need for the Colts after this season will probably be offensive line, mainly offensive tackle. So like with me, I look at it and I go, okay, you drafted your quarterback of the future last year. Let's go ahead and get him some help. I'm going Ola Fashanu, the offensive tackle, Penn State, to kind of protect AR. I think that's the way the Colts would go if Fashanu was on the board here at number 5. Then we have number 6. I'm going to say this with how I think the season's going to go. I don't think the Commanders are this low in the draft. I think they'll be a top 5 team. Actually, I think they're going to finish in the top 3. I am not very high on the Commanders being a very good team this year. I believe with my rankings, I had them as the number 2 pick. It was Cardinals, Commanders, and then Texans, with how the top 3 fell out. But they're at 6 here with the databases order. And at 6, I think that yet again, they're a team. They would love to finish in the top 5 and have a chance at Ola Fashanu. They need offensive tackle help. They need to shore up that line. They could also be a team that is looking for a quarterback. Drake May could be the pick here. The next best quarterback could be the pick. I want to see how their quarterbacks play out before I start just shipping them with a quarterback. So I'm going to go to their other over one need, which if quarterback ain't it, it would be offensive tackle. And I'm going to come over. Let me find the tackles. Where are they? I'm going to go with my number 2 right now, Joe Alt from Notre Dame. So Joe Alt will be a commander here at number 6. Yet again, let's see how the Commanders do. Will they go quarterback? Will we be talking quarterback for them? Then we have the Falcons. I think they'll be a little bit lower in the draft order, but hey, anything is possible. Here at number 7, I think for them it's very simple. Quarterback, they're going to see how Desmond Ridder plays. They already drafted him. Wide receiver is actually a huge need for them. I think after this season, if my memory is serving me right, Drake London is the only one they have under contract, so they need people for Ridder to throw the ball to. However, you look at the wide receivers, and it's like right now after week 1, Keon Coleman impressed me. I loved Rome out of Washington. Xavier Worthy had a nice game. I want to see more, like for Malik Neighbors, I want to see more out of him. I want to see if it was an issue of him not being used, if Florida State's defense was the problem, if LSU was the problem. And then with Emeka, I mean, Ohio State didn't really look like the Ohio State I expected. I expected them to blow Indiana out of the water, not just a 23-3 victory. So like, there's a lot of like those top 2 there. I'm like, they didn't really have good week 1s, but it's only week 1. We got to see how they do all season. So I kind of avoided wide receiver here. And I went, you know what? If I'm the Falcons, if Verse is there, I'm just going BPA. I'm taking Jared Verse because you can never take too much pass help. You can't take that pass rush and just say, get out of here. I'm going to welcome that in. I'll target wide receiver later because let's be honest, this wide receiver class is going to be a very deep class for the NFL this year. I think it's actually going to be the one position that kind of drives this draft class in 2024. So I think there'll be a good chance for them to get a wide receiver later on if they can't get one with their first overall pick. Then I have the Packers. Packers would have loved to be a little higher, maybe get some offensive tackle help. But with them, it's like I look and I go, okay, offensive tackle, after the first 2 are kind of taken, like, yeah, JC Latham there is like the next best one. Could be in that range. I don't have him 9. I have him a little bit lower than 9 overall. But like I look at it and I go, okay, do I want to reach for a tackle just to get a tackle? Or do I want to take someone that I rank a little higher? They drafted a not wide receiver. They drafted a tight end last year in, I think it was Musgrove in the draft. So maybe Brock Bowers isn't their guy. Maybe they do draft Brock Bowers just because he'd be BPA. Maybe the Jordan Love project is sailed and they're looking at a Drake May here, but I have them not reaching on offensive tackle. I have them going and just double checking. Yes, cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama, pairing him up with Jair Alexander. I believe Jair, Packer fans, correct me if I'm wrong, I looked this up. He is locked down, so you do have Alexander there. You need cornerback help, though, so drafting a Kool-Aid McKinstry to be your second corner or develop into that second corner would be a good pick for the Packers in the draft. Then we have the Titans. There's somebody that really could go anywhere, like edge rusher here. They would love to get their hands on a Verse or a Turner. Cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry would have been a great pick for them. However, I'm looking at this, and if I'm looking at the board as it is right now, you got JT from Ohio State, a little bit of a reach, but it is an edge rusher. Callan King would be a good pick, but I'm looking at it here and I'm going, hey, we took Will Levis. How I think this year's going to go, Ryan Tannehill will be phased out at some point. Will Levis will come in to play the end of the season where the Titans are kind of out of things. Let's give him the tight end to throw to. Let's give him the security blanket. Let's give him the best tight end in the class if Brock Bowers is here at number 9, let's go ahead and take him. Brock Bowers, Tennessee Titans, kind of a perfect marriage here with the 9th overall pick. Then that brings up the Chicago Bears, as this will be one of 2 picks for the Bears. You see it there. They have their own pick. They have the Panther pick. I believe this should be the Panther pick, as the Panthers, in my mind, will finish way higher than the Bears in my mind for the draft, that the Panthers are not as good of a team as the Bears, but the Bears are also a question mark. Looking at Chicago, edge rush, wide receiver, that's kind of the 2 things. Maybe D-line you put in there, but I look at this and I go, okay, we are just going to go with the top edge rusher no matter where it is. So first time I'm going to try to say this last name. I do have my pronunciation guide here. JT Tuimoloau. I hope I said that right, as I looked up an interview that he did to make sure that I said it right. JT, sorry if I didn't, but yeah, they're going with JT here out of OSU. Just get some edge rush help. Get edge rush help to beef up that defense. That should be the Bears' first point of attack. If they can get a Turner, if they could get a Verse, if the Panthers do bad enough, that would be ideal for the Bears, but JT would be a good pick. Then we have the Raiders in between the 2 Bears picks here. For the Raiders, I have really, quarterback could be in play. I don't think it will be. Wide receiver, cornerback, edge rush. That's kind of where I was looking at with them. And when it comes to the Raiders, I look at their cornerbacks. I go, hey, that's where I'm going to go. Callan King, Penn State, come on down. You are a part of Raider Nation, Ranger Nation, as my shirt says. But yeah, like the LV Raiders taking Callan King out of Penn State with the 11th overall pick. Then we have the Bears again. And the one thing I do want to say about the Bears is I think this pick is a little bit too high for the Bears. Bears are a question mark for me. Could be a 6-win team, could be a 10-win team. When I played through everything, I had them sitting at 10 wins, and that's coming from a Vikings fan. Yes, I live in Chicago, so maybe that played into it a little bit, but I think the Bears are not going to be the 12th overall team when we get to the draft. However, this is where they sit right now. And with me, I said, hey, edge rusher, but hey, let's go and get Justin Fields weapons to throw to. One guy that I was thoroughly impressed with after week 1 was Keon Coleman. I've already said it. I think Keon Coleman is going to solidify himself as the number 2 wide receiver behind Marvin Harrison Jr. in this wide receiver draft class. He is that good. He is going to be that good for Florida State, being that volume receiver for them, just soaking up catches. And I think the Bears need a guy like that on the opposite side to DJ Moore. So if I'm the Bears and Coleman's there, I'm going ahead and getting him, and I'm giving my quarterback, who many think are going to be in the MVP discussion. I think that's a little bit overhyping Justin Fields this year, just by a little bit. But hey, go get him a weapon, improve this team, especially if you're an 8-win team. If you overachieve and get a 10-win team, you got to go get them some help. But maybe the Bears aren't even in the position to get Coleman. Maybe they'll get a different receiver later on, depending on how good they are. Then we have the Broncos sitting here. And when it comes to the Broncos, I'm going ahead and I am just going to go with edge rush. For me, that's going to be Chop Robinson out of Penn State. So I've got kind of the 2 Penn State guys going boom, boom, back to back with each other. Just double checking. Yep, I got Chop Robinson there. Yeah, pretty much D-line edge is what I'm looking at for the Broncos here. And I looked and I said, hey, Chop is higher on my board. I mean, a Jerzon Newton could work, but yet again, at this point, I have Chop BPA above Newton, so going with Robinson over a Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. Then the Patriots, I'll be honest, if this was my draft, they would be higher. I don't think the Patriots are going to be that good this year. They'd be getting Brock Bowers. However, Brock Bowers is gone when we get to 14. Who do the Pats go with? I have them going wide receiver and Xavier Worthy. I say that with that tone because I don't really know if that's the best pick here. And I say that so earlier when it was my draft, before I didn't know I could change the order or that I couldn't change the order, I had them going Brock Bowers because they really don't have tight ends. And Brock Bowers could solidify himself easily as the number one tight end. The Patriots have wide receivers. They have some coming off of contracts, but really to me, it's like, okay, do they get some in free agency? Do they need a wide receiver at the draft? This is a team that I'm really going to have to see how their season goes, how they do free agency before I even know what they're going to do, because also where they're positioned in the draft, because the Patriots are a team that is usually competitive, but if they're not and they're higher up, that may change things. If they're high enough, do they basically push Mac Jones out of town and go with a different quarterback? I'm going to have to wait and see on the Patriots. Worthy's the pick right now, but in 2.0, this is one that is most likely changing. Then we have the Steelers at 15. I have them going with just edge rusher. Take the best edge rusher off the board. For me, that's Braylon Trice. It's easy. Boom. Go to edge rusher. Take the best one, no matter who it is. Boom. There you go. The one you like the best. Go ahead. Take it. You're going to need it. Then we get to the Vikings. And this is an interesting one because defense, any defense would help. Edge, D-line. Hell, I'd even take a corner or a safety. But I look at this and I go, if we are sitting here with this position, there's a pick out there that intrigues me. Yet again, quarterback, how's that panning out? Wide receiver, if we have not extended JJ or we're not sure if we're going to extend JJ or something has gone terribly wrong there, I might be calling to pick up one of those wide receivers that are there, because they're still like, look, you look at the ones that are available, like Rome is still there, Neighbors, Mecca, like you have the top guys still there. Also guys that could be coming up and kind of rising up boards, but this will probably be a controversial pick, and I'm a Vikings fan. I got them going running back here. I got to me, the number one running back, Travion Henderson, off the board to the Vikings. And here's my thought. Alexander Matheson is our number one running back, and I don't think Matheson is going to do bad. In one of my fantasy leagues, one of the two that I'm in, I drafted him. However, I look at this and I go, if Henderson is there, do we take Henderson at this point, 16, even if it's a running back by committee with him and Matheson? If Matheson didn't do as well as we thought he would and we need a number one back, I don't know, I just look at it and I go, this could be a good value pick for us. It could be one that helps our offense. I'm assuming this team's going to bring back Kirk Cousins, even though I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan on the field. Off the field, I love Kirk, great guy. But on the field, I haven't been the biggest supporter of Kirk Cousins. I don't think he could win the big game. I'm going to continue to say that until I'm proven wrong, obviously. But like, if this team brings back Kirk Cousins, we're not looking for a quarterback. This could be a tricky pick. This could be a risky pick. Probably I'll go defense, but I saw it here and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go at Henderson because we're going to need a running back, and why not get the best one on the board in my mind when Travion Henderson. Then we get the Texans, their pick via the Cleveland Browns. I have them going with a wide receiver. They need to get their new young quarterback help. I have Rome Odunze as the pick out of Washington. I love this kid. I think him and Michael Penix are going to kind of rise each other's stocks together. He's going to be Penix's main guy like he was last year. Odunze, great pick. Texans just need wide receiver help no matter who it is. Take the best wide receiver here at 17. Then we have the Chargers. And with them, I'm pretty much, my notes do say it here, D-line is going to be the number one need. Well, Jerzon Newton is sitting there, and Jerzon Newton is going to be the pick. Chargers have loved taking Illinois players in the past, as I believe it was Corey Liggett. I always say his name wrong. Liggett. Also a lineman taken in the, I want to say he was a first round pick. Was he first or second? First or second. I can't remember if Corey was first or second, but yeah, they've taken Illinois guys in the past. That's meaningless here, but I said it anyways. Newton's the pick. Best D lineman on the board, best interior D lineman on the board for me. Boom. It's an easy pick here at 18, but the Chargers, they're a team that's pretty solidified. They're going to be, hey, whatever their number one need is, we're going to wait until the draft before that kind of solidifies itself. Then the Saints, this is another one of like, could be wide receiver, could be safety, could be tight end. Like, I think this is one too. Let's see how the season goes, because I'm going to take a wide receiver here. I'm going to go with a Mecca out of OSU. And the only reason I'm doing that is, yet again, if Michael Thomas isn't healthy, I hope he is. He's on my fantasy team. But if he's not healthy, if some of the wide receivers they have coming off as free agents, do they want to get a young receiver out there to kind of build up that core? The Saints could be looking wide receiver. Will I think it'll be like this towards the draft? No, I do not. They will probably not take this, but at this point in time, I'm like, hey, could be wide receiver, but just like one of the other picks, I think it was the Patriot pick, I said expect that one to change. Again, this one could change as we get to 2, 3, 4.0 in this draft cycle. Then I've got the Giants here, and with the Giants, could be interior D-line, could be offensive tackle, could be wide receiver. With them, I am going interior with the D-line, and I'm going Michael Hall Jr. out of OSU. So 2 of the Ohio State boys going back to back. Then the Lions coming up at 21. I'm looking at it here, and to me, the top 2 needs for them is secondary. Corner, safety, secondary. That's why I go with a guy like Cooper DeJean. And the reason why I'm going with DeJean is some have him listed as a safety, like you see here. Some have him listed as a cornerback. Whether or not you think he's a corner or a safety does not matter here. The Lions need both. Draft him, figure out what he's going to do for you. Figure out where he fits. As a safety, as a cornerback, boom, there you go. You got a guy that could play 2 positions. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not play 2 positions, but you can kind of figure out, okay, which one is he going to be better at for my team? In a corner and a safety, you need both equally. Then we get the Dolphins. They have their pick back after having their last year's pick vacated through a wrench in the whole mock draft simulator, as the pick numbers were off because they didn't keep the vacated pick. I did for consistency. But with the Dolphins, I'm going offensive line. I'm going with my top guy of, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. I worried for a second because my big board, I always forget who I have above who with Latham and Mims, because to me, they're like this when it comes to offensive tackles right now. Take either or, and they're fine. I went with Mims here. For a second, I thought, did I mess everything up? Did I not have Latham go? Latham will be going, don't worry. But Mims here to the Dolphins. Offensive tackle will be their number 1 need. Go ahead and take it. Then the Jaguars here. I have with the Jaguars basically D-line or cornerback. To me, the D linemen that are available, I mean, right now I don't feel like Mawson Smith is up there, but he hasn't played yet. Didn't play against OSU. I came over to cornerback and I said, you know what? We're just going to take my BPA right there. We're going to take Denzel Burke out of OSU, get a cornerback, move on. Whoever's the highest out of the D-line and cornerback, that's kind of where I would go right now. Then the Jets, this is where I have J.C. Latham going. Any offensive line. We saw from Hard Knocks that the offensive line was ragged on. Just go offensive line. That's what you need. Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Then the Seahawk pick, and Seahawks fans, I think most of you are going to come after me for this one. This is where I have Drake May from North Carolina going, and here's my reasoning. Geno Smith signed his re-signed contract, his new contract. I'm not saying Geno Smith is going to be bad. I want that out there. But we don't know if last year was a one-hit wonder, a one-season wonder? Was it I've got a contract year, I'm playing for a contract. Now, is it the fat cat syndrome of like, now there's security, so I don't play as well? Could be that. Not saying Geno won't play well, but let's see how the year goes. If Geno doesn't play well, do the Seahawks start looking at quarterback? Do they look quarterback regardless? Because, hey, Geno's only a 3-year deal. Drake May is there, third best quarterback. He can sit behind him for a year, if anything. Door could be open. So I've got Drake May. If he falls all the way to, what pick is this, 25? Yeah, I'm going to have the Seahawks take him, even if he's stashing behind Geno Smith for a year, maybe 2 years. But then we've got the Ravens, and for the Ravens, I have them going with D lineman. They're going to go Maason Smith out of LSU. Hasn't played, but he's going to be a force to be reckoned with when he does. Then the Cowboys. Cowboys probably wish they were higher, but they are lower. They are going with a name that, is going to be difficult for me. They're going with Kingsley Suamataia. Actually, that's probably the best way. That's probably the best. I'm going to say it again. That's how good I said it. Kingsley Suamataia. I love saying names when they're right. Suamataia. That one kind of rolls off the tongue easier than JT's name. But JT, I will get your name down. Got the Cowboys going with some offensive tackle help. They used to have the best offensive line in the league. Now they need a little bit of rebuilding there. So I'm going with Satama. I screwed it up without even looking at it. Suamataia. Kingsley Suamataia. That's who I'm going with out of BYU. Then we got the Bills at, what is this, 29, 28. Got them going with wide receiver. Gabe Davis is a free agent. Don't know if he's going to leave. Malik Neighbors, I want to see more from him. Right now, he's a top 5 receiver in the class for me, but concerned after that first week. I don't know if LSU is going to help him or if it was just a bad week for him. I want to see him do better this year before I completely write him off. It's unfair to do after 1 week of the college season. Then we have the Niners at 29. I have them going safety, cornerback, whoever the top one is. For me, that's Kalen Bullock out of USC. California kid going to the California team in the 49ers. Then we go with the Bengals with here. I just said, I'm looking at offensive tackle. I'm taking my best one. For me, that is Graham Barton out of Duke, who plays tonight as I am recording this on Monday. Then the Eagles at 31. They are going to go with safety Cameron Kitchens out of Miami, the U. And then rounding the first round out, the Kansas City Chiefs going with defensive lineman Leonard Taylor III, also out of the U. So that's my draft. That's who I have. So very quickly, gonna recap everything. What do we got? And starting off number 1, we have the Cardinals going 1-2, taking Caleb Williams out of USC, Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the Ohio State. Buccaneers taking Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. The Rams at 4 going with Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama, Roll Tide. Ola Fashanu out of Penn State going to the Colts at 5. Joe Alt, offensive tackle as well. Notre Dame going to the Washington Commanders, question mark, as their name is probably changing after this year. Then we have at 7, the Falcons going with Jared Verse. Packers taking Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Titans going with Brocky Bowers. 10, the Bears go with JT. I'm going to mess this up, so I'm going to look at it. JT Tuimoloau. Then at 11, we got Kalen King, the Penn State Nittany Lion, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State, going to the Bears. Chop Robinson out of Penn State, going to the Denver Broncos. Xavier Worthy out of Texas, going to the Patriots. Braylon Trice out of Washington, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Travion Henderson out of the Ohio State, going to my Minnesota Vikings. Rome Odunze going to the Texans out of Washington. Jerzon Newton out of my Illinois Fighting Illini going 18 to the Chargers. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of The Ohio State, going to the Saints. New Orleans Saints. Almost said St. Louis. That ain't right. New Orleans Saints. Michael Hall Jr. at 20 going to the New York Football Giants. 21, Cooper DeJean going to the Detroit Lions. 22, Amarius Mims going to the Miami Dolphins. Denzel Burke out of The Ohio State going to Jacksonville at 23. 24, J.C. Latham out of Alabama going to the Jets. Drake May out of UNC going to the Seahawks at 25. Ravens taking Maason Smith out of LSU at 26. 27, Kingsley Suamataia going to the Cowboys. 28, Malik Neighbors going to the Bills. 29, Kalen Bullock going to the Niners. 30, Graham Barton out of Duke going to the Cincinnati Bengals. And then the Eagles at 31, Cameron Kitchens out of the U. And then also out of the U, Leonard Taylor III, D lineman, going to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's going to do it for this first one. Let me know what you think of everything down below in the comment section. Did you like your pick? Do you not like your pick? How do you think the year is going to pan out for your team? Which prospects are you the most excited for this year? Let me know down below. Also, if you haven't checked them out, check out our big board, JD's Big Board. The top 25 is on our website, mostvaluablepodcast.com. The link to the website and the link to the playlist where you can watch all the videos that we put out for the big board, also in the description. Also, the subscribe button. Please hit the sub button if you're not already. Please hit that like button if you liked this video. Join the Discord down below. It's the greatest community in the universe. Keep up to everything. That's probably the first place where you can keep up to date with everything that we're doing, but also to talk to, like I said, the best community in the universe about the sports that we love to watch each and every day. Also, if you want to support us, get some content like this early. Like I said, patrons, you're seeing this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Everyone else, you're seeing this on Friday. So if you want to get our content like the draft room, if you want to get the Bulls podcast early, all of our big boards, all of our mock drafts, go ahead and become a patron. Also, everything we're doing entertainment-wise. We just came out with a wrestling podcast, Heel Talk. You can get that early as well. Go ahead, Patreon link down below as well. Want to thank you guys for everything that you do. I cannot wait for another great NFL draft season. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope I see you guys for 2.0. And as always, have a good day, everybody. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.